title of the topic, because myself and Professor Kundu, we worked together, we could not meet to make a topic on breast cancer and chromatin. I have changed the topic into the breast cancer perspectives of the surgeon and beyond. Today we all know that in this country there are a lot of other modalities of treatment has been used along with the allopathic model of treatment. I looked at yoga is one of the very important aspects in this country. There was a demand from the patients that they want to utilize it. So I have taken a combination of how we manage the breast cancer and how we move into utilizing the yoga, the spiritual hypothalamo-pituitary axis in management of breast cancer. With this background, we all know that since morning we are hearing the incidence of cancer in India, and our goal in management of some of the solid tumor cancer is cure, conserve, cosmesis, comfort. That is we want to achieve it by developing what is called as multidisciplinary team in the management of cancer. With this in background, today we know that the incidence of breast cancer is increasing in India. Every year we see nearly 93,000 new cancer cases, 17 to 40 per 1 lakh population. Recently published data say that we have reached 17 to 50 per 1 lakh population. Most of them are in younger women rather than in postmenopausal women. And in India, we see 60 to 70% locally advanced breast cancer in rural areas, even 35 to 40% in metropolitan area. Maybe we do not have the routine breast cancer screening. Today, through the ICMR and National Cancer Registry, we have got a 5-year survival rate ranging from 42 to 46%. With this in background, recently there is a publication from Lancet who went to as I told you, the population-based cancer registry and hospital cancer registry like a tip of an iceberg. They went into the various parts of the country and they came out with the published data that India faces growing breast cancer epidemic, indicating by 2020, 70% of the world cancer cases will be in developing country and with a fifth in India, indicating that the magnitude of the problem of breast cancer is going to rise in this country. And this is the estimated number of gynecological cancers. You can imagine in 2010 we are seeing 90,000 cases. By the time we reach it will be 1,23,000, nearly 10 to 15-fold increase in the incidence of cancer. And this is the common presentation of locally advanced breast cancer, especially for some of those who are non-clinician. This is how we see them in our routine day-to-day practice of locally advanced breast cancer. These are some of the established facts in management of breast cancer, that we always do the good biopsies. We do the breast imaging like mammography and other things. Established method of treatments include the mastectomy, that is the removal of the whole breast, and we also do the breast conservation and reconstruction. What is the new change which has come is we use the concept of neoadjuvant chemotherapy and then try to assess the chemo responsiveness. The data available to us is if you give chemotherapy before surgery, there is a good blood supply to the organ and the circulating cancer cell will get attacked much better. And those people who show the good chemo response, they do well and their prognosis is better. These are the established facts. And today we know that local regional treatment has no impact on survival. This is one of the famous work which made us to think that there is especially from the Bernard Fisher group, which says that circulating cancer cells will be there. One modalities of treatment is not ideal. We should use the concept of treating the micrometastasis. With this concept, we utilize this in our locally advanced breast cancer, started doing a neoadjuvant chemotherapy in these cases. We realize that local regional treatment has no impact on survival. A concept of multimodality of treatment is very important to decrease the local recurrence, decrease the distance methods, and better impact on survival. And today when we know that this is what is happening, we still moved. We have an advanced imaging technique like PET-CT, evolving role of PET-CT in locally advanced breast cancer. Neoadjuvant chemotherapy, as I already told you, it will be a predictive factor in assessing the response to therapy, and we can make that there is no need to remove the breast in all cases. Those who show a good response, we can do organ conservative surgery or breast conservative treatment. And we are trying to utilize and come to a conclusion. There is no need to do battery of investigation. one PET CT will help us to detect the complete metastatic versa. The evidence is not come. This has remained an investigative protocol. Here is a lady who came to us, 52-year lady with a breast lump of 3 months duration. We evaluated her and we said that there is no dissemination of the disease. It's a localized disease. We did the true cut biopsy. We call it a triple negative, and we use the PET CT to see that whether there is a metastatic component there or not. There was no metastasis in all these patients. We do not use the PET CT to make a diagnosis of breast cancer. We use it to assess the prognostic values. We used to assess whether the distant metastases are not there, and after the treatment, to assess the response, we utilize this. And evaluating therapeutic response, we got a sufficient evidences already available to us so that one can comfortably use this investigation along with the treatment. And as I already told, the prognostic significance of FDG PET in management of breast cancers. And in neoadjuvant chemotherapy, why do we give the chemotherapy in locally advanced breast cancer? Downstaging the tumor, attacking the micrometastasis. The chemosensitivity can be assessed. Those who had shown a good response are suitable for breast conservative therapy. And this is how we utilize the chemotherapy. Minimum 4 cycles of chemotherapy, standard dose, clinical response, and we do the surgery, assess the pathological response. And this has been shown that lymph node involvement is an important prognostic factor and predictor of survival. And changes in histopathology after chemotherapy indicate the better predicts the survival is much better. In this regard, we also did a study on nearly 98 patients where to assess the pathological response following neoadjuvant chemotherapy. We looked at pathological response were determined using NSABP grading in both breast tissues and axillary lymph node in this patient. Type of chemotherapy protocol, the standard chemotherapy regimes we have used, and we concluded that the study of using the more number of cycles, better response we noticed it, and we thought the molecular marker that predict PCR to be looked into in management of neoadjuvant chemotherapy, which we do not have it till today to assess the predictability. And this is the small presentation we did at ASCO meeting last year, indicating that the pathologic response depends on the number of cycles, and effective clinical downstaging allows breast preservation, predicts outstanding local control and survival. And this is the historical presentation when it started of why the concept of chemotherapy has come into picture. When do we do the breast conservative surgery, and how do we select the patients for these procedures? And we looked at our own data of 2000 to 206, 120 cases of breast cancers, where we used them in the neoadjuvant setting. Various types of chemotherapy protocol, including taxanes, were used. And how do we assess their response? A good clinical examination, a good staging system. We also use routinely the mammogram, bone scan, MRI. Today we have moved into utility of PET scan as one of the modalities, and all these patients routinely undergo a true cut biopsy to have an evaluation of the prognostic markers. Assessment of response, when there is a complete clinical response, meaning that clinically we are not able to palpate. And one of the important things we looked at whenever we are giving a chemotherapy, age of the patient. No, earlier we used to think that younger the patient may be the better response. There is no such thing. Menopausal patients have done better than the premenopausal woman. And number of chemotherapy cycles, I already showed you that more number of cycles showed a good response. And skin involvement in these tumors did not have any influence on the response to the treatment. And as I already told you, there are the various factors we looked into and their response nature. And today we are in the era of what is called a sentinel lymph node technique. One can do it using the isotopes. And one of the important prognostic factor we are looking at is receptor. We do the true cut biopsies before starting the treatment. We utilize it. Earlier we felt that those who showed a good response will have better prognosis for the concept. But in locally advanced breast cancer, those who are receptor negative showed better response than who are receptor positive, contrary to the various theories. And we also did, when the response was good, we did the breast conservative surgery and used various types of reconstructive procedure. I don't go more details because the breast is a very fascinating organ, image disturbances and the various psychological problems women undergoes. Only the treating doctor and the women will understand the problem. That is why the concept of breast conservative surgery is very important, so that to avoid body image disturbances. And we also, as I told you, the combined modalities of treatment. We developed the concept of intraoperative radiation during the procedure, where we put the tubes and you load the isotopes later after 2 days, so that the treatment will be finished in a shorter duration of time, what we call the intraoperative radiotherapy in management of breast conservative surgery. And this is how we assess the response by using various images and prognostic factors. I told you pathological response and pathological evaluation. Those who had shown a complete response, even a histopathology, they carry a better prognosis, was our impression. Predictive, we do not have a single predictive factor. We are trying to develop the genetic profile with some of the xenograft. The experiment is going on. Results are not still out. And when we are doing like this, when there is a concept of complete disappearance of the tumor, as I told you, we have to give them the body image disturbances. We cannot remove the breast in every woman. We developed the novel concept of skin sparing mastectomy in locally advanced breast cancer, a possibility, and we reported in the literature which has been accepted it. And this study is going on. We have another review article on the subject. And now we are doing another study. We accumulated 10 cases, skin sparing mastectomy, utilizing PET-CT as one of the important armamentarium to assess the response to the tumor. This is what we have done. We have done the skin sparing mastectomy. Even in some time when they present with the synchronous bilateral disease, we have given them the skin sparing option. Effective clinical downstaging allows breast preservation, predicts outstanding local control and survival. When all these things, to conclude, need for identifying the predictive biomarker to assess the response, and we have to really look into that, and also how the FDG PET may help in improving our understanding of the tumor biology, predict early response, identify the drug resistance. A lot of work is going on in this direction. We are awash in the sea of information, yet we are starved of knowledge. This is what we believe. When we are looking at it, there is a changing people's perceptions of cancer. Stress is a response pattern. We are all aware of it. There is a link between stress and disease, and a newer concept evolved. This is, we try to do a study on the assessing the psychological distress in cancer patient, which made us to look at that one of the famous statement made by Franz Alexander, fact that the mind rules the body in spite of neglect by biology and medicine, the most fundamental fact which we know about the process of life. And we believed in the concept disease, body and mind. There is a good link. We are all aware of it. Looking at this, we looked at the spiritual hypothalamo-pituitary axis, which we look at in day in and day out in our Indian scenario. People claim yoga belongs to all of us. We thought, let us look in a more scientific approach. We are all aware of the psychoneuroimmunological parameters in breast cancer. We did some study many years ago with CCMB as a combined project, and we tried to do an extension of that. We looked at the spiritual hypothalamo-pituitary axis, yoga as an adjunct to conventional treatment in management of breast cancer. This is the famous hypothalamo-pituitary axis, how one can utilize it, where we can place the utility of yoga in management of breast cancer we have taken into consideration. We know that today our complementary and alternative medicine relevant in oncology practice is a question in front of us. What is integrated medicine? I don't go into the details of it. Yoga plus conventional cancer therapy, we call it integrated medicine. What is complementary medicine? These are all well-defined things. I don't go into the detail. And when all these things are going on, we found there's a publication in JAMA that complementary and alternative therapies really helps along with the conventional therapies. We thought, let us do a study of our own system of medicine, and we conducted the evaluation of yoga as a psychotherapeutic intervention in breast cancer patients along with the conventional combined modalities of treatment. You are all aware that in the city of Bangalore, we have got Swami Vivekananda Yoga Research Foundation. It is a deemed university run by Dr. Nagaratna and Dr. Nagendra. Dr. Nagaratna was our professor of medicine. Then she switched over to yoga, and she has made a lot of publication on hypertension and asthma. Now when she was our teacher, when we sit together and talked about it, let us do something beyond in our routine conventional treatment. That is how we included yoga on breast cancer. And this is the research team. This is the Swami Vivekananda Yoga Kendra situated about 15 kilometers from the city of Bangalore. And our aim and objective was, can yoga reduce psychological morbidity in breast cancer patients following mastectomy? Can yoga improve the quality of life of breast cancer patient following mastectomy? Can yoga bring about favorable immune modulation in breast cancer patient following mastectomy? With these aims and objectives, we look at the various parameters of psychological parameters one can take into consideration when we evaluate the patients. And these are the another hematological parameters, biochemical parameters, immunological parameters, including the NK cell activities. We looked into some of these studies, and we did the design of the study was we divided them two groups. One group surgery alone, another group surgery with yoga as a modalities of treatment. And a lot of people had a concept that yoga is only body bending. It is not body bending. There are so many other things involved in it. So that people should be aware of that whenever we talk about yoga, it is not a body bending or various kinds of exercises they do. And the yoga therapy intervention, yoga is a science of calming the mind. It is not the body bending. This is what yoga is, a flexibility of mind, not of the body. This is what we want to do, convey the message. Yoga modules, we use breathing exercises, yogic relaxation technique, pranayamas, and cyclic meditation. That's what we used in the study. And our outcome of this effect of yoga on breast cancer is psychological morbidity like anxiety and depression. Conventional treatment related to side effects have reduced. Total quality of life of some of these patients have improved. And chemotherapy induced nausea and vomiting has come down because of the meditation process. And even some of the youngsters, when they were collecting the data, they even gone into the post-operative complication, collected the data on these things, making it feel that yoga can be used in a more scientific manner. And when we are doing like this, we have published the utility of yoga paragraph as an anxiolytic effect in patients undergoing conventional treatment like chemotherapy, where chemotherapy used to get a bad name as one of the side effects of vomiting and the loss of appetite. People used to run away from the treatment. After putting them to this protocol, acceptance of the treatment has been improved tremendously. And this is the various anxiety states score and yoga and control groups. You can look into the whole thing: before surgery, after surgery, before radiation, after radiation, before chemotherapy, mid chemotherapy, and post chemotherapy. Various settings we have done the various kinds of procedures and the serum studies. And this is the depression, back depression inventory scores. In the same two studies we did it. And we also felt that one of the important thing is, as I told you, some of the data when we were collecting it, people also used to say that whether their hospitalization stay has come down, interval for suture removal, various post-operative things. We looked into the data. Average duration of hospital stay in yoga and control group, there is not much of a difference. It was reduced in yoga group when compared to the normal thing. This is the same thing, the drain removal versus no drain removal, and suture removal in all these patients. And one of we looked at the TN, tumor necrosis factor alpha levels in yoga and control group, and we also published this data indicating that it has an impact in the yoga group. And once again, when all these things are going on, we looked into the various parameters. This is a too busy slide. And CD56 counts in yoga and control group. And effective yoga program on cortisol rhythm and mood states in early breast cancer patient. We did this study, those who are undergoing adjuvant radiation as a modalities of treatment. This is the various diurnal salivary cortisol level. We looked in yoga group and non-yoga group, where in yoga group they show the variation in the various kinds of cortisol, salivary cortisol level. And to summarize, following surgery, these outcomes were improved. Psychological outcome, anxiety and depression were decreased. Quality of life improved. Post-operative outcomes were decreased duration of hospital stay, enhanced wound healing, reduced decrease in NK cell activity, and decreased serum IgA levels. And during radiotherapy, these were the conclusions we drawn from the studies. And during chemotherapy is a very important thing where we want to use it more and more. That psychological outcome, quality of life is better. Anxiety and depression were once again reduced. Patients have complete all the 6 cycles or 8 cycles of chemotherapy which we told them. Ladies and gentlemen, with this, we have started as a routine basis the Department of Yoga in our one hospital, indicating that we have to utilize the spiritual hypothalamo-pituitary axis, which is available to us. We have a department. We sell that combined modalities of treatment, not only the conventional surgery, medicine, and radiation. We can also add a complementary basis of treatment like yoga, which is available at not much of a cost to the patient, a cost-effective treatment. And we hope that in future year we can use this for cancer wellness program. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for all your patient hearing.
I want to ask one thing, like what is the relation between endometriosis and a breast cancer? Like to what extent?
Endometrial carcinoma and breast cancer have got a relation. Endometriosis per se may not have a relation, because sometimes in endometriosis we use larger volumes of sex and the hormones that may in turn have an exogenous effect on the breast.
Sir, are there any disadvantages for a PET scan?
No disadvantages, no complications, nothing.
Okay, fine. Sir,
it's a simple isotope injected into the body to know the metabolic activity. The routine CT scan, MRI are anatomical images, whereas utilization of the PET-CT is combination of anatomic plus molecular imaging. That is a big advantage. And only drawback in this country, we see a lot of tuberculosis. Sometimes the values we may see high, so we have to have a combination of clinical plus PET-CT evaluation and patient examination. Just by the PET-CT result alone, you cannot jump to conclusions.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Gopinath, excellent presentation.
Thank you.
Yeah, I really fascinated by the yoga story here. There has been actually multi-center trial for cardiovascular disease and correlating with the meditation. So I'm just wondering, when you did your randomized trials, how did you you excluded the control group, and how was the response? Because probably you informed them that they will not be taking it. What was the compliance essentially of the patients in the trial?
A lot of people do not want to come on the control group. Everybody wanted to go on yoga group only. Then we had to convince them, and it required a good communication skill between our counselors and the patient, because we don't want to get involved ourselves in the selection process of the patients. We were trying to tell them that you are going to be kept on an observational list, because in this country we know the people are very fascinated by the word yoga, and if you say that you are removing away from the program, there is a lot of resistance that everybody wanted to get enrolled. That was the whole concept.